Luxury menswear designer Priya Patil, a well known fashion designer and known for styling Amitabh Bachchan, has built a strong name dressing some of India's biggest celebrities and cricketers. Her work blends with ease, redefining how modern Indian men approach luxury. And now she has taken that vision global. She has made her debut in Paris during Paris Fashion Week, stepping onto one of the fashion's biggest stages. I'm Sonakshi Awasthi with The Federal, and today we're in conversation with Priya Patil. All right, so let's speak about the debut that you made in Paris.
Yeah.
When you saw your collection in that show for the first time, what did it feel like, really?
So I'm always at the back end. I saw
Mm,
the videos and responses later on as people started sending me things on Instagram and photographs. And so as a designer, it's something that we always look up to. I think every designer will want a runway and
mm.
something that I was planning for a long time, but I didn't think it'll be Paris. And then when Paris happened, it was incredible. So yeah, I still have goosebumps every time I see these videos. Yeah.
Nice. So, okay, your collection had like three clear directions. Was
Yeah.
that like planned for a global audience, or is that how you're planning your brand would evolve?
So I've been in the fashion industry for about 20 years, and 10 years of that journey, like a decade, has been in the Indian film industry. And so during my journey, I realized like there's a gap for menswear, or menswear is a little sidelined. There's a lot of options and a lot of things going on in women's wear, but in men's wear, it's either too extreme or too simple. So I
Yeah.
wanted to create like a bridge that gap and sort of like build a brand and a label that sort of like gives men an experience to sort of like complete themselves.
Hmm.
So I have three lines, like you mentioned. I have like the Lofty Lux, Relaxed Luxury, and the Spirit Edit. And Lofty Lux is very sculpted, tailoring, sculpted silhouettes like tuxedos. I use a lot of silks, wools, high end. Obviously, there's luxury. Relaxed Luxury, I get away. It's very get away from the rigid structuring. So it's more. I call it unstructured tailoring, very soft, fluid, comfort fit driven. And the Spirit Edit is very bold. I have these statement bomber jackets. So it's actually custom. So the person can actually tell me their identity and characteristics, and then we design something, and then you can express it on your clothes. So
Hmm.
that's the Spirit Edit. So these three collections, I wanted to put a little bit about everything on the ramp so that the world sees it. So I think I managed it in 20 looks.
All right.
Yeah.
Like you said, that a lot of men like to play a little safe when it comes to fashion.
Yeah.
So, in your experience, what are they most afraid of when it comes to like dressing well?
So I think this is my experience of people who've come to my studio and they see I study their personality and lifestyle.
Hmm.
Obviously, the ones who really come to my studio, they've seen my work online, they've sort of seen on Instagram, and then they'll come. I feel at first, they're a little close to experiment. But then the minute I sort of like design something for them, like maybe if it's for an occasion or it's for an event that they're going to, and then they'll get like compliments, and trying to get them out of their comfort zone, even
Hmm.
in terms of color, experimenting. Just like a pink, sometimes it's too much for a guy. He's very safe
Yeah.
in his black and blues.
Yeah.
But then he'll wear it, and then he'll get the compliments, and now he becomes like this trendsetter. And he's like a guy who was never a trendsetter, never looked upon for fashion, and now this guy in his world starts being looking looked upon for fashion. So that's the change. And then I like that change when they are, when they trust me, and then they come back to me and they're like, okay, fine, now what? Like, let's go for that.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I call them investment buyers. All men are investment buyers, be it a house, a car,
Hmm.
even a suit. It has to be an investment.
So, when you were like putting this collection together, were you like thinking about an Indian man, or it was like more for a global customer?
So a lot of people who come to my store, again, they're from here, and they're also NRIs who come to the store and get something. So in general, men, I've seen, whether it's Indian or somebody from the West coming in, they want the same thing. Men want, I told you, it's like an investment. And so
Yeah.
they will talk, like, women are impulsive buyers. they don't care about, like me personally also, I can wear a pair of shoes just because it looks good, and then I'll have my other pair in my car. Maybe that's comfort driven, but for an occasion I'll probably wear something. I can spend money for aesthetics, but men is all about comfort. And then with comfort they will invest, even if the price goes higher. So when I was designing it, obviously, in I was planning a collection in about December, early Jan. Uh, but I was, in general, I'm not a very seasonal designer, like how you have the fashion trends keep on going. I'm very classic and clean in my sort of like silhouettes and what I want. Probably I might just introduce a specific color for a season. But the styles and silhouettes kind of like flow in the same. So it was more generic. It is for India. It's for international buyers also. In fact, when I put on a lot of the Jodhpuri suits, the bangalas, I had so many of the Westerners go like, "Wow, like we love the fabrics, and we love this, and we should see more of this in the showrooms abroad." So that was a good response.
Okay, so you've worked with Amitabh Bachchan for years.
Yeah,
What's the one thing he changed about how you see men's style?
I think AB sir is just really classic and clean in his style. He's always been. His attention to detail is phenomenal, something that I've taken away and I've learned. And I always tell everybody he's a legend. Everybody knows him. When I went to Paris, everyone, including the models, was so excited to wear, something like from what I've designed before and to have those same aesthetics on them. So obviously everybody knows him. And I think maybe just in accessories and things like that. Obviously, whatever he wears, it's just another aura. It looks completely different on screen. And I love that it can be something so simple on the hanger, and then when he wears it, there's like this charisma about it. So I think he's got his own style statement as well. And, he'll bring it about, and I love him in the classic blues, the blacks, the navies. I think it's just phenomenal. So, yeah, he's one person that you put anything on and just makes it glow.
Nice. So
Yeah.
you've dressed like actors also and cricketers also. Who would you say is more difficult?
Um, I think actors, because it depends on the character and it's script driven. I've done some movies. Some of the stylists come to my store and they'll give me a little script. Maybe it's for a dance sequence, or some character driven that I have to make costumes for them.
Mhm.
Uh, and then, of course, for sports people, it's they're very, I mean, I've worked with some sports stars, and they're very they have a coach. Their mindset is a bit different. So it is a bit comfort driven than maybe the actor is just looking at for the screen time. Say if it's for a movie, which I've done for some, and it's character driven. So I think both have their own place, but for me, as in terms of creativity, but I can express myself the best, I loved it on the ramp. Because there were no boundaries. I could just do however I could flow in the most possible creative way that I could, and so I loved it.
Okay, so most of the fashion that we usually see, that I also usually see, is loud fashion. A lot about like huge logos and statement pieces.
Yeah.
So, what direction are you taking? Are you taking like the quiet luxury, or are you taking the loud fashion?
So what when we say loud, it's really haute couture or it's avant-garde, what we want
Hmm.
to see on the ramp. Most of those pieces are done to create to to create a little buzz. Because on Instagram, when you're scrolling, no one wants to see a plain black suit. They will
Hmm.
want to see something crazy. Okay, so those are meant like more editorial pics, or just highlights here and there to create like some sort of,
Marketing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's avant-garde.
Yeah.
And but obviously, even for a designer like that, you'll go into their store and then you'll see very wearable pieces. They'll have that. So but my own personal style, my highest avant-garde will probably be like draping or some accessory with it. So I'm really clean, classic, very minimalistic. In fact, when I was going for the show for this Paris show, I was little, because I was the other designers that were putting up their collections were all like these ball gowns and beautiful, and mine is so understated. And but that is who I am. And the men loved it, and that's what I wanted, that it's appreciated at a global level.
Okay, so how, like after Paris, what do you think changes for you, like creatively or as a brand?
As a brand, of course, the viewership is more. You have a lot of the European buyers, the retailers, the luxury stores looking at your lookbooks, at your collection. And so then you have them approach you, with we have a lot of Indian celebrities who've done it big globally as well. So there's already a mark for, like, whether it's Indian designer or it's a actor or it's a sports person doing, we're in the international forefront. So India has made that presence, and now, I had like some luxury buyers tell me that they want Indian craftsmanship and labels in their stores. So I'm really excited about that, and that's the next phase that I'm working on. So yeah.
Okay, so last question, and this
Yeah.
is something that I really personally also wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned that a lot of, in the recent past also, we've seen how many things from India have been taken and they have been put
Yeah.
as fashion that they claim to, not mentioning any brands here. But what are your views regarding that?
It's so funny. So now with social media, everybody knows there's information. There's chat
Yeah,
gpt, and you have so much information, so you cannot hide it. So
exactly.
whether they take the jhumka, or whether they take the kolhapuri chappal or
Yeah,
the sari, we all know where it comes from. Indian
yeah.
cinema is global, everyone watches it, so you can't hide it. And they can price it at whatever, but the Indian craftsmanship will always be Indian, and people can tell. Like, even I've used some rich Indian fabrics as well, and some of the collection that I'm making, I have to tell you this. Some of the fabrics I'm actually getting woven in India, and for fine suiting, we were always told Italians have the best.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, and some of the mills that I'm working with. They were actually weaving saying made in Italy. And I said, why are you weaving it saying made in Italy? He's saying, because if we sell it made in India, no one wants it. I said, I'm going to tell them this is made in India. Some of the fine suitings which I'm using, and I'm actually making, they're actually made in India. And I'm so proud of that. That India has gone to that level of in fine suiting, in men's fine suiting, to make fabrics that only the Italians used to do before, but now the Indians are also making it.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Priya, for joining us. This was a lovely, lovely conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, and have a lovely day. And love to all the viewers, and hope you love my collection as much as I loved making it for you. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.